It's been a while since I've done a full mod breakdown on this car. I kind of wanted to bring you guys up to speed on everything that was done on this car to go basically from stock to over 700 horsepower engine, not rear wheel, just to be clear from the very beginning. So basically I'll tell you what the configuration was of this car when I first got it, and everything that I've done to it since then, and everything that I've done mod-wise for the power mods and supporting mods for that to get it to the power level that it's at now. When I first acquired this car back in January of 2024, it was basically just exhaust. It did have long tubes on it, which was really nice, so I didn't have to screw around with doing long tubes on it and the cost and the hassle of getting them put on. But also just had the stock Eden with a 2.9 upper pulley, I believe. And it did have a lower crank at the time. It had the 6-pound lower, which it still has right now in its current form. So basically the car was probably making like around 14, 15 PSI with that setup. And it was probably making, I would have to guess, probably like 480, 490, close to 500, maybe a little bit more because of the lower on it. But from my past experience with my first Terminator, which was just a pulleyed Eden car with exhaust on it with stock headers, it made 480. So I imagine this was probably a little bit more. I do have a dyno video of when it was done at Pro Dyno down in North Carolina, but I'm not sure exactly where the build was at that point, so it's really hard to speculate. Now, there are a lot of ways to get to 650 wheel, over 700 at the engine on these cars, all kinds of different combinations, but this is what I did on this car to get there. So basically, when I first got it, I had no intention of keeping the Eden on it. They're really, really fun cars with a pulleyed or ported Eden or both. And I just knew that after having the Gen 3R on my first Terminator, that I was going to want more, so I didn't want to invest money into porting an Eden or doing anything to mess around with it. It was better off just to get it right off the car and throw a Whipple on it. I didn't mess around too much with exploring other blower options. I pretty much knew that I just wanted the Whipple 2.3. I could have gone Kenny Bell or something like that, but I knew that the power level with the 2.3 was going to get me to where I wanted to be with it. I didn't want to explore going down the road again with the VMP Gen 3R. Really, really great blower, but I'm more happy with the 2.3 than I was with the Gen 3R. It hits different. These smaller blowers just spin so much quicker, and it's yet to be seen, but in the form that it is now I'll get to the fueling system, now that it's where it should be, this may actually pull more than what my Gen 3R did, which is kind of hard to believe, but it's going to be on the same dyno, so we'll see when we get there. Now, when it comes to fueling, I was told that this car had upgraded fuel pumps when I bought it. Technically, it did, but I had issues with my tank. Somehow moisture got in there, the tank was rusted, and I believe that the socks on the fuel pumps were clogged. It had a set of DW pumps in it, so one of the other previous owners from down the road wasn't lying. It did have upgraded pumps, but either those pumps weren't capable of keeping up with what the car was demanding for fuel, or they were just clogged with rust. So I ended up having to put a brand new tank in it last summer. Well, not a new tank, but a different tank. So when the new tank was put in, I had a 4-hat with a pair of GT improved supercar pumps that went in, and it's getting plenty of fueling now. I have a whole other video. I'll link it here as well, or down in the description, of if you really need to go full return system to get to the power level of where this is at. There's ups and downs, whether you do or you don't. I'm not saying one way is better than the other. I'm just saying there are other options. You don't have to go full return if you want 650 wheel. You can just do pumps, injectors, a good hat. And the other issue too that is a little hard to get around is it does have the black 306 fuel pressure driver module. Those are quite difficult to get a hold of. I was lucky to be able to source one by going through Cobra Dan. So it does have that. So that's the other issue with something like that. Either you would have to wire in two fuel pressure driver modules together, or you would have to try to find a black 306 somewhere. So the configuration that this sits in for the pull that I made on the dyno, it has the 6-pound lower, stock Whipple upper, 3.5 upper, the pumps I just mentioned, the 4 hat, long tubes, JLT air intake, off-road X-pipe, and boiler stingers. Now it was dynoed with the Bassani exhaust at the time. I don't really think there's going to be a huge difference just switching the cat back. But when it goes back to get dynoed again, it will have those additions, but overall it relatively will be the same configuration as what it was the first time it was dynoed when it pulled the numbers that I did before. Now, as far as everything else that I've done to the car, I'll start out with things that were already on it when I bought it, and then I'll tell you about things that I've added since then. This has upgraded sway bars on the front and the rear. They're the Ebach sway bars, nice big beefy sway bars, and it has Maximum Motorsports full-length welded subframe connectors. So the car is very, very rigid going down the road. There's no body roll. Take on-ramps or off-ramps on the interstate. Car doesn't dip one side or the other. It's very, very stable and straight. As far as anything else done on the car, like I mentioned before, it does have the long tubes that came on it. 6-pound lower was on there. It has the expansion tanks that were on there. The JLT intake was on there. And I think that about rounds out. Oh, it has upgraded heat exchanger on the front. I believe it's an AFCO. When I re-stenciled it earlier this year, I didn't notice any marking on it, whether it was Fluidine. Usually those have a stamp or a tag on it. So I'm not sure exactly what brand it is, but I believe it's an AFCO. The shocks and struts are, the factory ones are still the same. It's something I'm looking at upgrading a little further down the road, probably next year. I'd like to get new shocks and struts put on this thing. It rides pretty decent, but it's a little bit stiff. So I think these shocks and struts may be reaching the end of their life, and it would be much better ride quality with a set of conies in here, which I had on my last Terminator, which rode extremely well with those. So I'd like to replicate that ride quality that I had before. As you've seen in some previous videos, or maybe not, you may not be aware, I have done some carbon fiber upgrades on the car, fog light bezels, interior stuff. I have other parts that I haven't put on yet, kind of projects that I'm putting off for later on. I did upgrade the wheels that had a set of OEM Salines on it, and these are Weld Salonas. And I have the Nitto G2 front tires, and on the back I have 315 Toyo TQs. These are an 18 by 9.5 in the front and an 18 by 11 in the rear. Also put on the boiler stingers. It had the Bassanis on it originally when I got it. Also, one of the things that was on the car when I bought it, it had upgraded caster camber plates. So those were on there when I bought it. Another thing done to the car before I bought it was a clutch. It does have a McLeod, but I'm not sure which model McLeod it is without dropping the transmission looking. And also I'm not sure if it's a 26 or 10 spline input shaft for the transmission. No one really seems to know. This car went through a lot of hands before I was able to acquire it. It's not a 1 or 2 owner car. It may not look like it from photos, pictures, videos. It is a very, very nice car, but it went through some hands before it eventually reached me. That just goes to show that the general rule of thumb that most people take when buying these, and generally I would as well, sometimes isn't always true. This went through a lot of people before I bought it. A lot of hands have touched this car. In the end, it's been an extremely good car. It makes awesome power. A friend and I did a compression check on it last summer just because I wanted to know where the car was, and it pulled 180 across the board. Extremely healthy engine in this car, and despite it passing through a lot of people, it was kept up pretty well. It's got its dings and scratches and things like that that all these cars have at this age, but overall it's a really nice car. One other upgrade that I've done on the car is it does have drilled and slotted rotors, and it has the Brembo upgrades on it. These are the Cadillac Brembos. I was going to buy a set of Bear T4s. The whole kit was like $1,700. Decided to do these Brembos instead off the Cadillac with the S&S adapter kit, and it's so much better in my opinion. Still have a 4-piston caliper at a much cheaper price. Just need the S&S kit. Buy the rotors. I think those were $200 off LMR. It's got rotors front and rear that are brand new. The rotors that came in the car when I got it were trash, so they definitely needed to be changed anyway. And you'll get some people, especially in Facebook groups, saying don't do drilled and slotted rotors because they'll crack. This is the second Terminator I've had that I put drilled and slotted rotors on it, and I haven't had any issues. If you were to track this, maybe you would start developing cracks in it. But from my personal experience, I never had cracks in a drilled and slotted rotor. So either, I'm not sure how these people are getting that in cars like that, if they're just street driving it. And maybe stop driving like an asshole, and that may have something to do with it. But just general street driving and not constantly hammering on the brakes nonstop, they've been absolutely fine. So I will round out the mod list on the car, everything that I've done to it, everything that was already done to it, and the path that I took to get to 650 wheel horsepower with this car. And my opinion, extremely good power point to be at with these cars. So much fun. I drove this the other day after clearing out the problem I had with the intercooler pump being airlocked, and I resolved that issue, took the car out for the first time in a while. Probably did like a 1/8 mile pull with it pushing over 15 pounds of boost, and it was violent. It was violent. I drive this car fairly often in the summertime, even though I take a few weeks off here and there because of being busy, vacations, going places, stuff like that. But this is my second Terminator with a blower swap, and this car still surprises me at times where it hits extremely hard and it just does not want to stop pulling. I ran out of road to keep doing the pull, so I had to let out of it, but it just wanted to keep pulling. And it really surprised me. On cold mornings, when I've taken this to work before in the morning, when it's been like 50 degrees, even though it's got Toyo TQs on it, it doesn't hook until almost into third gear. It just completely blows sideways. First gear, completely forget it. Second gear, towards the top of second, it will start to hook. And third, it finally does hook. Toyo TQs are amazing tire. If you guys are on the fence about buying these or any other type of drag radial, I would highly suggest the Toyo TQs. It holds the power very well at this being, over 650. So, and I can't speak enough about how good those tires are, at least from what I've experienced with them. And asking any drag radial to hook in a cold morning in the Northeast is asking a lot. So the fact that they hooked at the top of second, I give credit to them as well for that. So that will do it for this video as far as an overall picture of everything that's been done to the car. One other thing I wanted to add, I did change the seats in the car. It has parchment seats now, where before it had gray inserts. I just really like parchment with the Sonic Blue. I was lucky to find a pair of seats at a somewhat reasonable price, and the car is pretty much being modded the way that tailored to me for what I want. I don't chase trends for what other people do, which is why this doesn't have CCW Classics on it, because that's been done to death. You type in CCW Classics for 0304 Cobras on Google, and you'll get a multitude of photos with the cars with that being done. I wanted something different. So I went with the weld cylinders, which in my opinion look better anyway. People will probably get all mad for saying that, but it's unique, it's different, and I really like them. Also on the interior, this does have an MGW shifter. Really, really great shifter. I like it a lot. This is the first Terminator I've had that did have this shifter. My other one, I believe it was a Pro 5.0, and so far I've been pretty happy with the MGW. Not positive which handle is on it. I may buy a couple different handles, maybe try them out and see how I like that. Also has an Aeroforce interceptor gauge. I use that to keep track of my, mostly it does read a lot of stuff, but I mainly use it for coolant temp, IAT2 coolant charge temp for the supercharger, and battery voltage. I'll switch every once in a while to the voltage and see where that's at. Also has an SOS pod. Lucky enough to grab one of these. I heard months and months ago that the person that, I don't know if it was the original person that made these originally, or if it was someone else that was going to start making these pods again and kind of improve upon them a little bit. So far, have not seen that happen. Supposedly, they were supposed to be out by now from what I understood from the original post, but I have not seen these for purchase anywhere or anyone that's bought them after they've been reproduced. So I'm not sure if it's actually going to happen or not. So for now, the SOS pod market is still going to be pretty high. The aftermarket boost gauge I run is an Autometer Phantom. I really wanted Lunar series, but those are really, really hard to find. I actually bought one at one point, but the fitting on the back of it was on so tight, and I tried to get it off, and long story short, the gauge was really screwed up. It's unfortunate because it took me a lot of time to try to find it. So my next best choice was to put in the Phantom gauge, which I like a lot as well. If I come across another Lunar at some point, maybe I'll pick that up. But for now, I really like the Phantom. It's a really nice looking gauge, and it matches well with the other stock corporate gauges in the cluster. So let me know down in the comments, what mod path did you take with your car to get to the power level that you want? Are you still modding it? Are you done? Are there things you're looking at still doing? It's a never-ending process with these. So, you know, I like to say that I'm done with this at some point, but you never know. So we'll see what the future holds. If you made it this far in the video, make sure to leave it a like. The sub button is also down below if you're new here, but above all else, thanks for watching.